All right. Hello and welcome to Here Now and Forever's live stream interview. Today I'm very excited to have Dr. Susan.
It's Bartlett Hackenmiller.
Bartlett Hackenmiller.
Lots of names.
Yes, Susan Bartlett Hackenmiller. And she is very well versed in both integrative medicines and a board certified OB-Gyn. And one of the main reasons I also brought her on today is with her work in the field of nature therapy. And could you please tell us about just your journey to getting into nature therapy?
Sure, yeah. So as you mentioned, my background is in OB-Gyn, and I practiced that for several years and found myself to be fairly burned out in the late 2000s. And it was about that time when I learned about integrative medicine and that there's a fellowship in it. And so I started and completed the fellowship in integrative medicine through the University of Arizona and finished that in the winter of 2013. So that was kind of the beginning, and there's a lot longer story about that too. But along that time, my husband was dealing with lung cancer and ultimately passed away from lung cancer in 2012. And so he was part of my journey for sure into how this all happened. I found myself after his death trying to reconcile death and dealing with kids and dealing with my practice that I was still kind of struggling through conventional medicine and all of that, and learned about this idea of forest bathing during the same time that I was spending a lot of time outdoors in outdoor adventure. I had found that my treatment for grief and burnout involved mountain biking and trail running and hiking and getting outside in nature. And so kind of discovered that there are pros and cons to the adventure side and then also the mindfulness side, and discovered that it's possible to find a balance between the two. And I learned of this idea of forest bathing in about 2014, started kind of dabbling in it shortly thereafter, ultimately became certified with the Association of Nature and Forest Therapy as a forest therapy guide. And now I serve as the medical director for that organization. And so the Association of Nature and Forest Therapy certifies guides around the world in this idea of forest bathing, or Shinrin-yoku, which we were talking about before we started just now. And so that organization is an international organization, and now there are several hundred guides around the world taking people out forest bathing on a regular basis.
Wow, I read that. That's very impressive that you're on the board for that.
Thank you, yeah.
And you are a Cedar Falls native.
Yep.
Can you tell me more about just what you come here to do today with the forest bathing?
Yeah, so we're here at Hartman Reserve in Cedar Falls today, and this morning we're taking a group of people who signed up for this to go out forest bathing, and so from 10 o'clock till noon today we'll be doing that. And so I'm guessing that most of the people who are coming today have never experienced forest bathing, which I hope, because it's always fun to take people out for the first time. But basically it's a practice where we'll start all together, and then I'll guide them through this mindful practice where we just really, it's about taking in nature through the various senses. Mm-hmm. It's a standard sequence that we follow every single time, where we take the participants deeper and deeper, really, out of their everyday conscious, as we say, monkey mind state into a more subconscious, mindful, what we call a liminal state, where they're just kind of in more of a meditative space and able to receive the health benefits of being out in nature. So it'll take a couple of hours, and it's a very slow practice. We don't cover a lot of ground. It's not a nature identification walk or a hike for physical fitness or anything like that. It's a very slow, mindful walk. We come together at certain times during the practice, and I'll have the participants do some sharing, what we call counsel. And that helps to really solidify the experience in the participant's mind. And then at the end, we always culminate with a tea ceremony.
Oh, wow.
And so that's fun. And we actually forage a plant from the woods. And then I didn't talk about one of my other passions is herbal medicine. So I'll talk about some of the herbal, the medicinal properties of the plant that we end up using today. And so people always seem to really like that. There's so much that we can use from nature for healing, whether it's taking it in and using plants medicinally or just the chemicals that are emitted from plants as we're out in nature. And so...
Wow, that's super cool. Yeah. Just thinking about, so you actually are going to go grab a plant and like make tea.
We are going to, yes.
Oh my goodness. And I'm such a tea fan, but I've never tried that.
Yeah, you're going to have to join us one of these times.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. And I was just thinking too of all the cool things that you do with nature and forest bathing. And I heard that you're working on a book now.
Yes, I am working on a book. Well, I finished the book. It will be released July 1st. And it's called The Outdoor Adventurer's Guide to Forest Bathing. Wow. So it's a combination of all the things I love, really. I was contacted by Falcon Guides about a year ago and asked to write a book about forest bathing. And so I started brainstorming with the editor about things that we could combine in this book, and he really liked the idea of trying to look at various forms of outdoor adventure and seeing how you could bring the elements of forest bathing to those activities. And it's something I do on a regular basis, whether I'm out kayaking or biking or hiking or trail running, or and we included cross-country skiing and climbing. And so basically I created invitations of forest bathing that you could use doing any of those types of outdoor adventure. And then combined quite a bit of plant wisdom, as I call it, looking at both, again, the medicinal qualities of plants, and then also how people could experience maybe plants in more depth than they typically do when they're just outdoors for outdoor adventure. So
yeah, very cool. Yeah. I saw that it's going to go through all the different sports as well.
Right.
What's your favorite to do?
Mountain biking. Yeah, that's really my favorite, but I like to mix it up and do all of those other things too that are included in the book. So yeah.
Nice. So where have you been mountain biking?
Well, my current husband and I met mountain biking, and so that's something that we share a passion for. And so most of our travel includes mountain biking to some extent. Just last weekend, we were down in Austin, Texas for a mountain biking race. And so we've ridden there. We've done quite a bit of mountain biking in the western states, Colorado and Utah and California. And so, yeah, we have a map of the United States we're trying to fill with our mountain biking adventures.
That's super cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Looks like a really romantic trip too, I'm sure.
Oh, of course, always.
And so as I was reading through your online blog that you run, I saw that you'd done a lot of things with people with autism and special needs.
Right.
And can you tell us more about that work?
Sure,
and how,
well, my son has autism, so that's been part of my lengthy journey. And so he's 18 years old now, but I've been involved as a board member for the Autism Society of Iowa and a number of other organizations in the state dealing with autism as far as advocacy and awareness and things like that. And so I have taken groups of individuals with autism out forest bathing, and so that's fun. It's fun to combine all of my realms. So yeah, what else do you want to know about that?
I just read a really interesting story that you had about a patient who came into your doctor's office, and then you took them outside,
right?
And it just opened them up. How kind of other. How did you come to see those kind of experiences?
Yeah.
How healing and nature come together that.
Right. That was one of my early aha moments, and that's why I wrote about that. I think I've often felt very confined seeing patients in the four sterile walls of an exam room, and often thought, why can't we just take this outside? And I spent some time in a third world country in the South Pacific where they had open air clinics, and I've always kind of clung to that feeling why can't we be outside? Doesn't greater healing take place outdoors? And so there was a patient several years ago who had autism and was very just frustrated being in the exam room and agitated. And so we decided I just asked her and her family and caregiver nurse if we could, should we just go outside, take this outside and just walk around? And so we did, and we walked around outdoors, and a calming came over her, and she took my hand at one point that was very monumental to her parents, and we were able to get to the bottom of what was going on with her and at least come up with a plan. And it was something that we all acknowledged, I think, was not going to happen if we had stayed indoors and just kind of kept pushing the issue and trying to make it work. And there was something about getting outside and just relieving all of that pressure for her that allowed us to make some ground. So yeah, that was one of those times that I thought, yeah, there's something to being outdoors.
Well, it's super cool. I know, because I like working or like volunteering when I can with people on the special needs spectrum.
Great.
I have like that in my family as well.
Very good.
And so it was very interesting just to read about like what you're doing and how that's been working out too.
Well, thank you. And it's been interesting. I was invited to a conference a few years ago to do forest bathing with a group of individuals, adults with intellectual disabilities. And it turned out that there were about 5 people in our group who were in wheelchairs, using wheelchairs. And so I was struggling with how I was going to forest bathe with people in wheelchairs, but we managed to do it on a paved sidewalk behind the conference center we were at, where there was a grove of trees, and there was a garden of wildflowers, and it was a really great experience for me, and also I believe the participants, to be able to have this kind of experience, even though they might not typically be able to get onto, say, a dirt trail in a place like this. But I feel like forest bathing is something that's accessible to just about anyone. And you can do it in a city, you can do it at a resort, you can do it in a courtyard. I've done it on a golf course with people. It's something that, as long as you don't take forest too literally, as long as there are some elements of nature, you can make it work. And I love being able to help bring that to other special populations. And I talked about that a little bit in my book, included some special populations.
Okay, wow.
So, yeah.
Very cool. I was just thinking too, on the day-to-day basis, when you can't all just maybe take a very far away break, how do you engage in, how are we supposed to engage in mindfulness in our free time? Just like fitting it into...
Well, I think it is something we can and should fit into every day. I started a little challenge at the beginning of this year, Outdoor Adventurer 365. And I encouraged people on social media to join me just trying to get outdoors, even for, say, 10 minutes a day. Some days it might just be walking to the mailbox or walking to your car or something. But even in that time, whether the weather is terrible or whatever, just trying to just enjoy nature a little bit. And I encourage them to snap a picture and then post it on Instagram with that tag, that hashtag Outdoor Adventurer 365. And there are a lot of people who've been doing it. So I just think that there are ways that we can take little tiny breaks even in our day and appreciate nature. And I think it does something for us when we do.
Yeah, well, it looks like we're getting close to being out of time here.
Yeah.
So could you tell us where people can go to find out more information about you or signing up for a workshop?
Sure, I would love that. I have a small website. It's integrativeinitiative.com, and I try to post events on there. I have that one blog that you were referring to. Also information about my practice. I see patients in Webster City, Iowa, both in person and via telehealth. So I have a number of patients who are interested in trying to be healthy in a more natural way, who see me by e-visits now. And that's something that I really enjoy being able to do, and being able to see patients from really anywhere and not, again, just in the confines of an exam room. So that information is available on my website. And then if people are interested in scheduling, I can give the phone number. You want that? It's 515-832-7703.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
And so this is me reporting for Here Now and Forevers. And in the coming weeks or so, I'll get a blog post up so you can read more about Suzanne's practice and all the things going on with nature therapy. Thank you all for watching.